Hello and welcome in to the Sorare Data Show. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Joined today by two very smart gentlemen who happened to send me a very similar message at nearly the same time about the same topic, and I had to have them on at the same time. Surfula, GatorGuy231. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on. Keith, you looked a little hesitant when I said something about being intelligent.
You said smart.
Well, Surf is here.
Yeah, I mean, there's
enough intelligence for the both of us.
There's one.
I'm not sure I meet that criteria either. So.
Thank you to all of the intelligent viewers who came in. Appreciate that. Looks like Toby, Limpy, and Bruzel on the podium. Bruzel will take a Wednesday SD podium since I can't get any actual podiums. It's tough. It's tough. Braden, what's up? Simo, thanks for coming in. Jack Jarvis, Mitiotso, can you extract value of something? Can you extract value of something that is priceless? That's much more positive than can you extract value from something that's worthless, which I'm sure some people will think. But appreciate everyone coming in. Shaforko, what's up? Pico player, might have been late. Apologies for that. Tuggy, thanks for coming in. Surf, I'm going to start with you because you technically were the first one to bring this up to me. But we individually speak to each other, and it was just kind of crazy because literally the same topic came up and the two of you were having separate conversations about it. Like there was no connection at all, but it basically, I think came about from to you guys, excuse me, from other people complaining that they can't sell their cards for what they bought them for or for profits. And it basically came down to, that's probably not the way we're going to make money in this game anymore. And people need to appreciate that before they can kind of start doing it. So Surf, if you could explain it a little better than I just did for everyone watching.
Yeah, I think we've kind of grown used to we might win a card or acquire a card in some way, and we always find that there's a market to sell it into afterwards. Whether we've won it or we've bought it doesn't matter. We always seem to have. We're used to this market that is constantly on the up and constantly growing effectively. And I think that we've probably got to accept now that that's not really the game anymore. That we're no longer, if we can sell a card, brilliant. But I think it's more about what we can extract from it than anything else. And winning rewards and winning cash potentially is that way of doing things, I think. As opposed to constantly thinking, I can move this on for X amount and hoping that things are going to magically rise. That's not really the way forward, I don't think. It's about what we can get from them now.
It does seem like the previous feeling, and I don't want to say this was something that stopped like yesterday. Like obviously the market hasn't been flying over the last 2 years, it feels like. But it was basically the idea of like, I'm going to buy this card, I'm going to win all these rewards, and then I'm going to sell it for more than I bought it because it's a really good card. And I actually thought that the introduction of the cash competitions that require the new season cards would sort of change the thought a little bit of I need to extract as much value as I can from this card right away. But it does still feel like people are like, and when it's over, I'll sell it for get my money back and then just keep winning there.
But that's like a behavior change. Like that's
right.
Especially if you've been on the platform for 4 years. Like, even though like I know that's the answer in my back of my head, I'm like, buy good players and gets a good move and could maybe, but most likely not.
That's really all it is. Like I do wonder how many people have made that psychological adjustment. I'm gonna guess there's like one.
And
it's Surf. Yeah, it's Surf. Yeah. That's it.
I haven't.
Keith, what's holding us back from doing it though? Just because we long for the good old days?
What, like making the mindset change?
Yeah.
Because you have to freaking accept that your car's the moment. It's like freaking a new car. It's like making that like assessment. I just bought the car, I drove it 1 foot, and it's worth like what 15-20% less. Like that's the acceptance mode, and nobody's going to do that, which is actually kind of funny because you know what like never gets talked about at all. Nobody bitches about 5% ever. 5% market fee is not in our lives for how many years, and nobody ever bitches about that. We complain about prices and falling, and we're never like, yeah, and then on top of that, Sorare is going to take 5%. Nobody ever says that.
I think people have actually argued that there should be a higher percentage, and people are kind of like happy about that. They think, oh, if we have a higher percentage, we'll get this, and it's like, why?
So I think, Laird, I think it was in one of the Discords we're both in, but somebody posted, God, within the last week, they sold a card and they're like, and they circled, why is there no market fee? Like, they're like, I never look at this, but I see that. And that's so cool. Thanks, Sorare. And it's like, well, no, like, Sorare doesn't have the license or a place to put that.
Right,
money, so they're just not charging you, type of thing. But no, I mean, so like, to your question, I in a lot of ways, we have been doing this for a while. We buy a card, and technically, we already got a haircut if we're ever going to sell it, and nobody's complaining about that. I just think the reality is we're just so used to like how many. Okay, so like I just watched a Luis Suarez super auction end before we got on the stream, and it's already listed on the market for 175% what the guy paid, and it's that type of behavior that it just doesn't change because this is what we were so used to for so long, and that was like that was the moneymaker, right? Like you could sell your awards, you could do all that stuff, but ultimately, like, Laird, how many times have you said on a stream, like, should we be trading? Because if you actually traded well for a while, that was arguably one of the better ways to make money, and it's just not anymore. I kind of think that part of the game is dead.
You think trading is dead?
Yeah. I mean, for a normal person, unless you're going to do it in some incredible amount of bulk and you have this huge reserve. I mean, most of us can't take like one or two really awful trades, like on like a super rare like that.
I do wonder, like, if even guys buying at like 65% value and stuff like that now, whether that is actually ever going to be profitable for them, because I think they're taking on lots of stuff that they will literally never move.
Yeah,
they have no purpose now.
I've thought it for the longest time. Like, I've been complete and utter shit at Sorare ever since I won. I got my one win
2 weeks ago. Ever since you won,
dude, that was not 2 weeks. That was at least at this point 6 months. It feels that way. Sorry, there's just kids trying to come in, but yeah. So like, I finally like won a tier 4, and Basil was giving me like $15 for it. Like, auto accept, not even looking at what the rate is, because we did that. Well, how long ago was it, Laird? 2 years ago, like 2 months. About like establish the floor with a bot. Like, here's the bot. Here's what you get right now. Do you think you can make up that difference? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the risk, the market risk? Maybe not.
For the record, before I say anything, it's been 6 game weeks since you won All-Star Rare Plus.
So that's what's the
I'm not even listening to your dog years like so rare conversation here. But anyway,
dude, can I be honest with you? You could have told me it was been 60 game weeks and I would have accepted that. It feels
I believe
that long.
you. I believe you. Where was I going with that? Oh, so Pavel always says he wants to have 1 million Sorare cards. And given that he seems almost impossible to get cards from, I believe it. And the number of cards that he will, like you said, like, will never really have value is astonishing. And like, this goes back to one of those things, like we always knew this was a thing, but we just ignored it because it was easy to ignore it. But there are just a ton of cards that really just are worthless. And you probably are not extracting value from them winning either, but theoretically that should put a premium on the cards that do produce rewards, right? I mean, that's why they're more expensive.
But like, interestingly, like I just scrolled to the bottom of my sorted by roster price SD gallery thing.
Sorry,
and I
sorry for what you just encountered.
yeah, well, I scrolled to the bottom though, and I was like, so one of the players is retired, but then I was looking at like one of the lowest ones that I've got is a Ramiro Enrique who plays for Orlando and came from Argentina, and he went on auction. The new season went on auction for 0.0191 the other day, and like I look at that and I'm like, I think he's a really good player, and like that to me, I could still extract value from that. That's not, to me, that's not a dead card. It only takes 2 injuries at Orlando and he's starting for them, or he heads back to Argentina in a couple of years and is very usable. I don't know. I think we haven't really worked out what the value is in players like that yet, if that makes sense.
Who is the player?
Ramiro Enrique.
Yeah, I don't. That kind of went back to Keith. Were you and I talking? No, maybe Harry.
Yeah, I remember listening into something recently about like potential.
Right, just like it's more difficult than ever to. I hate to say it this way, but like invest in speculation.
Well, yeah, it was like ours, and then you talked a little bit with Harry and Sam about it. But yeah, like, you know, it used to be, I think that I used the with you the Guler example, but like the actual like basis of it was Sean and I were chatting, and he was like, I'm gonna buy. How do you say the kid's name? It's Esmir Surfula. You have his super rare.
Yeah, that
Esmir
the Bosnian guy that I won. Yeah,
from the Revs. That's
from the Revs. Yeah.
Yeah, Sean tells me if he's going to start each week or not. And
well, no, he's all over Sean's radar now. But my point to Sean was, he's like, oh yeah, if his super rare goes up, you know, I'm going to buy him. This is Sean shit on U23 fans too. That's saying this, like, that's not interested in U23 as much, but like, I'm like, Sean, so where are you going to use the card? It's like, oh, you know, maybe like a new season comp or something. I'm like, Sean, you're never playing a guy like that. Like, you have 3 lineups in Challenger in season. Sean would be like, it has to be like an island type of week for his type of gallery to play a guy like that. Like, Sean's playing elite type of players. And reality becomes, if you're playing a guy like that, even though he's good, he's just not nearly as good as he's going to be in a couple years. Well, if you're paying the new season premium on it, you're not going to extract the value from it cash-wise. And then you go, okay, well, I'll just play him an old season next year. It's like, no. He's still not good enough, because now you're an old season where there's 40 mints of a super rare in there in the MLS. And so you're up against 40 João Paulos or 40 Carlos Gil or Lucho Acosta, because there's so many prints. And a lot of them, they only have one place to go now. So I think that's the hardest part of like the whole speculation part is you used to be able to play them in so many places, but now we condensed where these type of speculative buys can go. And they just, for a lot of galleries, just aren't good enough.
I think though, like, because I've always tried to avoid buying guys who are kind of, there's always been such like a value placed on hype, it feels like, in terms of the market.
Hype boys.
Yeah. And like I've always tried to avoid that. So like the examples in Argentina have always been like Prestiani, Echeverri and people like that who have like, they're supposed to be the next big thing, so they take on huge amounts of value. But I think there's still like someone like Enrique at 0.0191. I feel like I can get value out of that still. There's no hype on that. There's no hype attached to that price. It's just
so let me ask you, let me ask you this, because you actually probably just gave one of the guys that I think proves my point, maybe. But Echeverri, that's the guy that said it signed with Man City, right? That's back on that river.
Yeah, totally.
Can you yield anything off of him, like as a new season card?
Probably not. Well, I mean,
you don't know when he's going to start really off all that often, right?
Well,
and he's just not as good. Ooh, look, I got a little bubble. Let's get a bubble.
well, River have like a thing with Man City where they get a certain amount of money each time he plays.
Right.
So they have some incentive to play him. But what they found recently, it sounds like, is that he's not fit enough to play. So he's
How can an
supremely
18-year-old
talented.
not be fit?
I know.
What the hell?
He's supremely talented, but like he can't finish 90 minutes very often because he starts blowing by then. And it seems like that was actually why he wasn't playing much last season, and that was why it wasn't just some anti-conspiracy thing trying to get him to sign a new contract or something, whatever. He just genuinely actually might not have been as good as people thought he was because he's not quite fit enough.
So he's a soft hype boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's had like so much hype around him that his price has been high for a long period of time.
But you, like you said, and you have the right type of gallery to use that kind of player that would like have game weeks align with River and have the right. But
I wouldn't buy him
right
for the price. Well, I tried to a little bit, but then it exploded. So yeah.
But but you would not expect to be able to yield, and then also like you sit there and go, well, what? Like the honest answer, Laird, on that is we probably should have never been speculating, but the market, like what you started with this at, like people overpaying for guys for so much helped. But reality is how often has somebody bought a guy and like 2.5 years later gone, yeah, that was great. I knew he was going to come good. I don't think that's that often.
Do you think it's not that often because people give up too early?
I think it's because you have to buy so many. How many of these hype boys suck? Doku.
I think it's rarely though the guys who like everyone kind of is really, really attracted to.
Right.
It's so rarely those guys who are like making the top 10 Wonder Kids lists and things like that. It feels like it does happen where someone's like supremely talented from the get-go and then rises up. But like, again, using examples of what I see in Argentina, but like Enzo Fernandez kind of did it where he was going for like probably tier 4 type prices and then rocketed into something amazing. I kind of like I've had ones in the last year or so that happened quite quickly. So like Rollheiser went from being virtually nothing to being something really good and stuff like that. So it can happen, but it's like Rollheiser wasn't the guy he wasn't the hype boy. He was base price.
Speaking of hype boy, Chris asked, how much is Ryan Cherky? That's fantastic. Laird can't fully enjoy the laugh because he decided to buy one like an idiot. Sorry, bud. But like
I traded for that card. What I wanted to, but like Keith, this Esmir.
We should have got a different example that we could have said.
Bazrat Terevich. I'm just
Good
gonna
effort.
hold on. I'm just gonna show. Anyway, he's like some 18-year-old kid for the Revs.
Future American national team and stuff like that. You know, I've heard that's.
Here he is. That's Surf's card. Congrats on that win, by the way, Surf.
Yeah.
But like he's 19 now, and just turned 19.
Not locked in.
Right. But like he's U23 till 2029. So you really don't think you will be able to extract value out of that card? Like
you think
he's not a hype boy.
He's going to be around in 2029, Laird?
But I don't even mean that. Like you can play him until 2020, in U23, excuse me, until he's not there anymore. And then you just exactly what Quinny said. You just have to hold cards for it to happen.
Okay, here would be the counter, and I guess maybe where my mindset's coming from on it. All right, you pay. Like, what is Esmir going for? Like, just tell me like a new season rare. What is
0.27? Oh, sorry, on a super rare, it's like 0.275. I think
that's insane.
That's what SD's telling me.
Yeah. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah. That is insane. So
I got 2 starting MLS guys that are pretty damn locked within the last 12 hours for less money than that.
Yeah, but they're old.
No, they are one. Well, one is, but the other one's not. The other one is
They're not
Surfula's
17,
boy. I got
they're 19 individuals.
I got a Martin Ojeda super rare for dirt cheap. That felt great.
Yeah,
I was going to say
Ojeda.
diversity.
But then,
Yeah.
but I mean, the two guys I got Martin in new season, Martin Ojeda, super rare, and Christian Benteke, who I'm pretty high on now that DC United actually is looking pretty good. That was less than what Esmir went for. So I guess my point is, yes, you could buy Esmir right now. You're probably not going to yield much of anything this year. You might yield heartbreak because he's not even locked in. And when you finally think you have a great matchup, then he sits on the bench. And let's say then next year he does round into form and you go, great. Well, most likely he's in old season comp. So now his price may be even depressed. We don't know where price is going to go. So I have to take a gamble on what pricing is going to do. And that means that whole year I had whatever 0.27 is. That's almost over $1,000. What could I have done with that? And then am I really saving any money on buying him now versus next year? There's some damn good players for 0.27.
Yeah. But like so to bring it back to Enrique was the top scorer in Argentina, I think, for the season before he went to Orlando, and is now going for, like, say, 0.02-ish. You could buy 10 of him for the price that you buy an Esmir. And so, like, we're still kind of seem to be factoring in that hype. He's exploded a bit recently. He looks a bit tricky and a bit exciting on compilations and stuff. But we're not really... to me, paying 0.275 isn't thinking with your head. It's thinking with, oh, he looks really cool.
Well, no, that's a great point. But I do think the hype boy discussion, if they're really, really cheap, like what he's saying, that's, I think, a different story than the guys that, like, everybody's on that's gaining the premium. I think that's where I say there's a little bit more of a problem. Maybe that needed, like, a caveat, like that speculation aspect of, if the guy's like $2, speculate away. Like, it's really hard to
because if that comes good, that comes good in a new season, like, it's in a way, if your hype boy comes good who's really cheap in the season in which you bought him, like, that's even better probably than it was the year before. Like, that's really good. But yeah.
No, I agree completely with. I think the hard part is it almost just becomes, like, price centric. Like, how much can the guy honestly rise? Because what you probably should do, which very few of us are going to put in the work, is like, all right, if he hits his high point, who is he? Is he Carlos Gill? Well, probably not, because he's on the same team as him. Like, is he Martin Ojeda at Orlando? Is that his uptick? Then you go, okay, this is what Martin Ojeda is going for. Oh, crap, Martin Ojeda is already cheaper than him. What am I doing? You don't like that, Laird. Speak.
I'm trying to think of really what I'm trying to say, because I feel like the idea that you have to extract all of the value right away, or at least in the first year, is ignoring that the utility continues. Like, it's harder, but, like, the year one, basically, that you've owned the card, cash rewards, like, there's more to extract than that. And so I appreciate you're, like, paying a premium so that you can start to extract earlier, but I feel like the way that you're describing it, you would never be able to ever sell a card for more than you bought it for. And that's just, like, we know that's not right.
Right. I didn't do a good job of explaining. I was more like these hype boys that get pumped. But, like, I do think we're in a time frame that it is harder to sell, like, established guys that everybody knows their levels or, like, what they're probably going to score. It seems harder now to really make too much of a profit on them, like, as what we used to, right? You know, I still remember, like, probably one of my best things ever was I bought Dylan Barrero super rare when he moved from Mineiro to the Revs, and just held it till he finally did good, then listed it. I was, like, still overpaid for him there, and the card sold for 2 ETH. Like, That's not happening anymore. Like stuff like that. That's not. I don't think people are like that. So I think we're a little bit more pragmatic as a ecosystem, don't you? Or unless your name is actually even Pranksy is a little bit pragmatic. Like we joke about him, but like I've seen auction after auction that he kind of gets to a level and he's like, all right, I'm out.
I think he just forgets. I could be wrong.
He just went above his max bid and he just didn't know to.
Right. He just he left. Yeah.
Because in all seriousness, I actually am quite. Ever since the prize pools came out, I've actually been quite attracted to the classic competitions more than the in-season in a way. I don't know if I'm making a complete error there, but
in contender, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose contender, a little bit in challenger as well. I play a little bit there. I'm not rushing to. I actually sold a couple of. Well, I did a trade that I kind of regretted in the end on a couple of new season MLS cards that I'd won.
Let's hear it. I love hearing regrets.
I don't think it's. But the thing is, I'm like I come as a complete MLS amateur in a way, and I watch a little tiny bit, and so I traded. Diego Fagundes, who Sean had told me I need to get out of because he might not start. And I had as well.
That was a good call.
Yeah, Fagundes is dreadful.
He sucks.
Yeah. I also had he was called Bombito, which I was holding because he had a really cool name and someone that had said to me that he could be quite good.
Keith, do you know who he is?
Moses
Sorry to cut
Bombito,
you off.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a complete and utter sicko.
Yeah, that guy.
You know this. and I mean, we'll go to my Rapids thing here in a minute, maybe, to make Surfula feel better. Keep going. Okay, Bombito and forgiveness. Who Fagundes. Keep going.
Yep. I traded them for a Shaqiri and a Jada O'Brien.
Okay.
They were classic though, those ones. And
I don't see a problem. I mean, O'Brien should be starting for Austin. I mean, congrats on getting a winger for the worst team in the MLS. But to make you feel any better, I degened into a Colorado Rapids super rare and then saw a couple more Colorado Rapids super rares. I'm like, you know what we haven't done for a while? Nobody's actually done the good old Sean Chicago Fire stack. So why don't I lead us into the promised land with a Colorado Rapids stack in cash?
This comes as I've been trying to sell a Colorado Rapids super rare for weeks. And Keith is like, you're never selling that card. Who would ever want it? Come on, Keith. Let's do it. Let's make a deal here.
That's you.
I love it. I love whoever MLS. Sorry, I can't see the end of it. But it's like Rapids vomit. That's the but so
that's the point.
I'm actually not trying to defend this. This is not pumping a Rapid stack. They suck. They're awful. Chris Armas is one of the worst managers in MLS history. Yet he got another job. Like, it should be a disaster. But it's back to the Chicago Fire thing, which how long ago did Sean say that on as a guest appearance? Is that 37 years ago?
4 years, yeah. And it's a long time.
Yeah, it's really long. But his whole thing was, this is when prices were insane, too, to give context. But it was like, I'm going to buy a Chicago Fire stack. It was in super rare, too, right? If I recall. Maybe. I don't think it was rare. It doesn't.
It might have been unique.
It might have been unique because it was a Madron unique, right? Yes, it was unique. And the whole point is nobody's going to own this stack, but the MLS is wonky. I'm assuming I don't follow Argentina, but Argentina pretty wonky. Surf.
Yeah, it has its moments. Yep.
Has its moments.
Yep.
And all it takes is one time for a red card to happen in the 10th minute, and they're up a man all game at home. And guess who nobody has? Chicago Fire stack. Or in my example, if I ever get there, a Colorado Rapids stack. Because who in their right mind would own a Colorado Rapids stack? Nobody. As I eye this Zach Steffen super rare coming up.
I think you won that one, Surf, to be honest.
Oh, I'll take that.
I think that was good. Yeah, that was not a moronic trade at all. I don't see what any guy there that you would actually ever have played.
I was going to say, those were two new season super rares that at the end of the season, you were like, yep, I've extracted $0 from these.
Well, and you've looked at lineup builder, and not once did you ever go, yeah, I'm excited to play that guy.
Yeah, Bombito
Yeah.
season. Let's go.
Someone did tell me that Bombito was quite good, so I was a bit like hesitant to go. And the name was cool as well.
Can you
and
can you
that made a
block?
difference.
Can you block that guy? Or gal?
The
No, I mean he's young. It's like that's
Yeah.
like and then they'll DM you in 9 years when he's like an all-star at 29. They're like, told you he'd come good.
can't believe you gave that card up.
I didn't realize he played for the Rapids as well. I could have just peddled him to you.
I mean, I think he's played multiple places, which is not a good sign that young either.
Yeah.
Surf, would you have kept the card if it just said Bombito?
I mean, it was tempting. It was tempting anyway. Yeah, like that would have been made it more tempting for sure.
Yeah. Yep. The Good Place said divisions make the fire stack strategy completely dead now, Keith. Even if it hits, you're only winning the lowest division.
Wait, why?
I think that's assuming that you are playing that stack every week, and therefore you're in division
1. No, I'm teasing. No, but isn't the point to win? Like, whether I win Division 3, Division 2, Division 5, first prizes in all of them are fine.
I love how you justify this Colorado Rapids stack, and you're like, isn't the point to win? Like,
well, no. Yes. Yeah. I'm not trying to justify it. Wait, let me fix that. I'm not trying to justify it. I'm literally saying it's a terrible idea.
Are the lower divs that bad anyway? I thought they looked fairly okay-ish.
I think they're more than okay if you win them. And the point was to win them, right?
That would actually be kind of cool if like Sorare had like, I prefer to win. And they're like, I prefer to win Man City. They're like, no. I prefer to win Burnley. Yeah, we can make that happen.
No. Surf, before the show, we were talking to Keith and I were talking to our good friend Tuggy, and he was like, saw that it was the three of us, and he's like, oh, great, I love contenders talk. And I was like, I'm not sure how much we're going to talk about contenders specifically, but you just said you were like interested in the contenders prize pool, the contenders classic, which I still haven't decided if I think you're saying this because you actually think this, or you are just zagging because everyone seems to be zigging into it's terrible. So let's get into why you like contenders classic.
So I've got a couple of things. The first one is like, I think everyone at the moment is terribly prepared for that competition at the moment. In terms of even myself, I have always played with Argentina cards, and it feels like everyone else going into contenders has only ever played with their region's cards. So there's guys who are really strong in Asia, especially in the Super Rare division anyway. There's guys who are really strong in Asia. They don't have the South American cards that I have. And it feels like there aren't actually galleries that just own the absolute best contender Super Rares. And I could be wrong, but I've done a little bit of like digging. And the guys with all Asia galleries and all really strong Asia galleries have really strong galleries, no doubt about it. But I don't think anyone has like the best cards in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing I was thinking about that is like, I'm kind of, and I know it comes back to the conversation of everyone always thinks they're better at the game than they actually are. But I want to back myself and say that I can win that division like at least once on a fairly strong game week.
Mm-hmm.
And if I pull that off, then that's a bloody good prize, I thought, anyway. And I don't need to do that particularly often for that to feel pretty darn good. And like you say, it is a bit of zigging when others are zagging as well. And that's kind of how I've tried to play up until now.
So do you think part of that comes from the fact that you are starting with a base of one of the strongest teams in the division?
Yeah, probably. Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. And like I have to say as well, like part of this as well comes from I have something of an attachment to playing with Argentina cards just because it's the league I like watching and it's the league I know most about. And so maybe some of this is a little bit of me convincing myself that this is going to be a good idea. and that this is going to work. But I feel like I could be reasonably like, and I've said this from the start in a way, in that even in America, people have always said to me like, "Oh, America rewards are terrible and whatever else." But if you can dominate a division and if you can keep winning it, like even at the start of the season, for me, I kept winning America, even though the prizes were absolutely awful. The best that I managed was that Esmir. The rest were complete DMPs, Cruz Medina and that Akim
Hey,
Bowley
boy.
guy who, sorry, yeah, before I butcher his name. But the rewards were absolutely terrible, but the ETH was like seriously nice. And so, yeah, I just look at it and I'm like, if I can dominate that, I'll do pretty well. And so, like, what I've done this week is I kind of made my biggest purchase in about a month, which was buying a Ramon Sosa super rare,
Oh, there we
who was,
go.
yeah, who was probably like, that was probably the like one card in Argentina that was really, really strong that I didn't own already. There are a couple others like Paulo Diaz, super rare, but it feels like there's so many of him and people just run Armani and Diaz all the time that I kind of like, yeah, exactly. But I kind of like, I'm like, I don't feel like I need it. So I don't go there. But yeah, that's kind of my thinking. Could be completely wrong, but
Are you Later, were you and I talking about? Yeah, we were talking about this last night. Or do you have any pause or reservations? So this is kind of where I was at with Contender. Is obviously one of the hardest parts is like specifically when you get to summer, or even like right now too. Just like what you can win from it, because obviously we've seen as K League has come out, like everybody just sorry, Sorare Soul, if you're in the Discord, but it seems like the entire community has completely just shit all over K League at this point. Like the value. Laird, what was your tier 3 K League worth?
$7.
Like whether it's like the stat thing, everybody seems out. Like, does that enter into your head like at all? Like, hey, the rewards might not be all that great. I'm in classic, so I know I'm not winning cash at this point.
I feel like though that if I won a tier 2, say I won a tier 2 K League guy, I feel like I could extract the value out of it, even if I can't sell it again. Coming back around.
I was going to
to it.
say
So,
you should have said tier 3, and then later can show you the score graph
yeah,
of his
maybe.
reward.
Yeah. Well, but like, to be honest, I don't care about a T3 and below. Almost is like, even at the moment, for months, T3 and below has just felt like that is gonna be. I'm lucky if that is gonna be worthwhile to me.
Sure.
Like I've looking back through like the rewards I've won recently. I mean, I won a Talus Magno who seems that was a tier 3 this week, but
that's not bad.
No, it's not bad, but he's not really doing anything at the moment.
That's because their coach is a moron. Hold that one.
Yeah, and apparently he's a bit injured as well, but still, and then a tier 3 Marcelo Herrera, who has been playing, but you kind of never know when he's going to play, and he's just a bit all over the show. And then Esmir was like a lucky. Well, at the time he was nothing. He wasn't playing, and he was a DMP and whatever else. And
yeah,
so yeah, like a tier 3 doesn't mean masses to me at the moment, anyway. If that makes sense.
You know what's funny about tier 3 right now is that I feel like the tier 3 that we all want is like the backup U23 goalkeeper as a tier 3. We're like, yes! Oh, he's never played a game. Don't matter. I could get a guy that played a lot of games and never broken 45 too, but it's a tier 3. So I'll take this guy much more.
I've won a couple of those, so I think I'm just never going to get them again.
What's that? The U23?
The backup U20. Yeah, the 19-year-old goalie who hasn't made the bench yet, but is 19, so whatever.
Yeah.
Where was
I've been doing some K League scouting anyway recently. I was
buddy.
my ventures into the K League the other day. But
is there a new allegiance forming?
It's just been a bit of like sofa scoring Brazilian second division games from last year to see what random K League people have been up to. But yeah.
K-League. I think that's probably like one of the reasons I hate K-League the most is I try to pull up Sofa Score in the morning. They're like, nope, not yet. Wait till tomorrow. My attention's not there tomorrow.
Maybe Sorare should do that too. Agent Cooper said there's definitely going to be one annoying Git.
Git,
know.
yeah. Sorry,
Git?
yeah. That's a very English.
I was going to say it's got to be, yeah. Anyway, who
you
has
could
an
go with the
Armani
French
or
version.
Chinese
It's a
league out
sheet,
there?
isn't it, in French, which is like a house of some sort. I don't know. There you go.
Oh.
Yeah.
News to I'm learning things every day.
Is it bad to me that like seeing Armani plus like 4 Chinese? I'm just like, you do your thing, man. Like if you're gonna like scout that,
yeah.
Like I think, I mean, I'm not gonna say it. I'll let Laird. Laird's trying something similar.
What was I trying?
The whole, I'm gonna win a division with a league that barely anybody knows exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. But I like the deep scouting on the whole, like, you're gonna show up, like, you know, and this is not a shot at you, Surf. Like, you have all these people showing up with river stacks of different sorts, and you're gonna show up like digging deep in China League and like your Peter Zulj and what is the Leonardo, and you're like no injury news at all on anything, and you show up and you put Armani with them, like good for you. I kind of hope you win. That's how I feel.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's what's kind of cool about contenders in a way. Is it's going to be. I feel like it is going to reward those who know the most, and I've said this before.
Right.
I just think it's going to reward those who do the homework.
Do you think that contender? Sorry, Laird. One last question on contender for Surf.
Yeah.
Like, are you interested in new season and using your knowledge for that to attack the cash there, which seems to be fairly decent?
I am. I've got like I've got a little Mexican defensive stack, Liga MX defensive stack with Ezequiel Insine and Alan Montez, who will be new season for like 4 or 5 games.
Oh.
And that's why I was kind of doing a bit of K-League scouting the other day, was I was kind of thinking if I could just get one cheap K-League guy on auction, kind of enables
there are plenty of those.
Yeah, there are. Well, the one guy I wanted, my big Brazilian guy from the Brazilian second division, he actually went kind of expensive. He went for like 0.1, and I was like, oh god, I can't.
Imagine that we're in a world where that's kind of expensive.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it's true. But like, that was kind of what I was thinking, is if I could just get a cheap K-League guy who I kind of put a bit of work into, then it might be worth me playing at least for a bit whilst those Liga MX guys go, and then I'll use whatever I win and kind of try and work from there a little bit.
Okay.
But then I was sort of thinking about it more today. It's funny, on the way home, I was listening to Laird and Harry's game week preview, and they were talking about Celtic. And I was thinking there's actually quite a few guys probably with current season Celtic stuff and things like that. And I kind of fancy my chances more against them in Classic. But because I've got like other elite guys, but I don't really have that in season unless I want to pay some big money, which
that makes sense
right now. And so like that's why I'm kind of looking at Classic a bit more at the moment. But I'm not opposed to playing in season. I probably will do. I probably will cave, and I'll just buy a guy to slot in there in the next week or so, and I'll end up regretting it in a few weeks as they do nothing. But
the Sorare way.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah.
Do you think that the strategy that you employ works down the scarcities, or is it more of a, like you were mentioning that looking at other galleries that are like heavy K-League or heavy J-League, and it's easier to kind of find those because there are just not that many of them at the super rare level? I don't think that's a strategy that's reasonable at like the limited level, finding all the people with like Sanfrecce stacks, but like, or collections, but how much do you think at least those concepts translate?
Yeah, not particularly well. There's loads of guys who just, it feels like lots of guys own all the best rare guys, and same, especially the same at limited. And even if they don't now, it's going to be easy for them to own them. I think at super rare, there's going to take 6 months to a year before people have even been able to adapt. Because that's what I'm trying to do at the moment a little bit. Is I'm not opposed to acquiring a Sho Sasaki or someone like that who's elite in the J League. I'm not. At some point, I'm not opposed to it, but I can't go right now. I'm going to buy one because I've just got irons in the fire elsewhere. But I think it's going to take a while before. And it's like I said before. If your gallery was in the right place before all of this, you were probably not doing it right to begin with.
Damn it!
And like. So like it's going to take a while before people are, and that's going to be much slower at super rare and especially unique than it is lower down.
Well, you know what the other interesting thing about what you just said there too is, because I think the fact that it's even just one card different, that you can use 2 classic cards and new in season, because we know what type of cards those are going to be. Those like in contender, that's going to be Sho, that's going to be Barco, like your whatever version of Barco you have, more often than not, if you're playing new seasons, it's going to go there, right? So I think that that's the interesting part about super rares, because top end scoring super rares are so expensive that we know more often than not they're going to end up in the. If the people can compete there, they're going to try to put them in the new season. And if the people can't compete in the new season, well, Surf probably likes his chances of the cards that he has because, Sho or Barco might be their best guy. And he's got, 3 or 4 of them type of thing. So,
and I think as well, like in terms of like the 2 classic guys allowed in the new season competitions at super rare level. Like I know it's only 1 more, but that's twice as many as are allowed in the rare and limited competitions. And so technically are classic cards worth twice as much versus their rare and limited counterpart, if that makes sense, in terms of versus the new season equivalent. And actually that allows for so much more flexibility in terms of building your lineups when you have that extra one.
Keith, how many Cecina super rares do you think there are? Like I was trying to think of, like Surf was saying that there are not going to be that many people that have all the best cards at that level, and not that Cecina is necessarily the best.
He's up there though when he's when he's not.
So he has 1 current season super rare.
I know I was in on it like that, but we're at what? I think this was the 4th season of stuff. So I'm gonna go 31.
Surf, you got a guess?
I was going to go like 28 or something like that, so not far off.
38.
Oh wow!
We'll hit 40.
But that's the point. And then we have the division breakups. So but hold on, just for perspective, rares, 385.
314.
It's a lot more.
1,100 limited.
I mean, I'll tell you this: limited classic is a complete, like,
that's gonna be tough.
Go enter your limited lineup and buy a Powerball.
Yeah, it's
really hard.
But actually, as well, like the thing is, I could look at if I wanted to, in half an hour or so, I could look at the gallery of every single person who owns a Cecina super rare and go, you haven't got the cards to play. Like a guy actually, there was a guy who made a trade offer to me yesterday, I think, who I saw in their gallery. They had a Cecina super rare because I was just looking at stuff I could potentially extract from them.
From these people or from this card?
From that person, yeah. Okay. I was like, what could I swap? What could I ask for as a swap? And obviously, like making a spammy offer for a Cecina didn't cross my mind. But I was kind of like, that you don't have like amazing cards to go with that.
Yeah.
You're just someone who plays the K League often, and that's like me. Is I've got a Barco, but I would imagine that people would look at my gallery and be like, you've got beyond that, fairly average-ish guys. I suppose I've got like Armani and stuff, but I don't have really, really mega elite guys in every position. I wouldn't have said. It's just that I've tried to utilize my knowledge to make them more elite.
Well, I'm actually going to fall on the sword a little bit for like your example that you were just making with Cecilia. Like I'm one that owns a Sho Sasaki Super Rare, and come March 29th, unless I do something else, it's a complete and utter worthless card in my gallery. Because I always used him as a rare plus guy. He was an all-star rare plus. Like the plan was always level up my Messi, play him with Sho, play him with Gil, play him with all these different people, play him, Sho with Osako. Like that was the plan. And, the new rules came around, and I was just too excited to actually do that plan that I'm like, I'm holding this thing to the last possible minute and seeing what I can do. And, I was really lucky that, that ended up winning All-Star Rare Plus, like that Sho plus Messi combination. But, like I either right now have to add more contender super rares or do nothing. And I have two worthwhile contender super rares. I have a Ichimori and I have a Sho, which those fun cards were fine in the All-Star world, All-Star Rare Plus world. They're not so fine in this new spot.
But that's exactly why I was able to acquire that Ramon Sosa this week, was because the guy who owned him, Dave, I think he has like 3 super rare cards, and it was always what he was going to use in
Rare Plus.
Rare Plus.
Yeah.
And that no longer exists. He had no need for it anymore. So, yeah.
You know what the problem though is with, sounds like Dave is a great person and a great Sorare manager. Then there's people like me that are not, and I still am like, pay the piper, man. Show's great, and you're like, but he's not great for you. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm unreasonable. Like that's the hardest part. But I think that's almost like gives us a complete circle, like back to a little bit beginning is, like valuing our cards and things like that. You have like your price that you want to get for stuff, but if you are just sitting, he's just sitting in your gallery, not doing anything and not doing any yielding, then yikes.
You can play him in rare.
I have a Sho. I also have a Sho in rare. Please stop adding insult, because I don't have anything I can do there either, and I'm just too tied to Sho.
Man, clearly there's like a Sho Sasaki Cole Bassett thing happening soon.
There's not.
I'm sure of it.
What else? What? Oh, hold on. What, you should have gone, Keith. I've got a brand new. He's really good. He's like 17. He's already started for DC United. It's in season.
Surf has one too.
To make this deal happen, I could toss him in. And then if you're really high on him, I have a good buddy that he, will help out, and he'll give you 2. We'll give you 2 of your hype boys. What do you think? Sho for Cole Bassett and 2 DC United. Can we call him hype boy?
Keith, the offer is in your inbox.
Oh my god.
But like you could build like realistically for like probably only about an ETH or something now. Like the strongest possible contender lineup. Not far off, I would imagine it in super rare.
We're can we make a thing? PSU fans has entered the chat or entered the stream. I feel like literally Sean sits that every morning. It's like, hey, just a reminder, you could build the best team for 1 ETH. I'm like, 1 ETH's a lot, Sean. He's like, you could do it. I have faith.
but like, if you did do it for 1 ETH, like I just can't see that. Like with classic cards, even like for winning Div 1, you get a star and $950.
Not bad.
And like, you only need to do that across its lifetime.
All right, Colorado Rapids is done. Let's go contender. Let me go pull up that stream from a couple weeks ago with with the hotel shitty Wi-Fi and see if those guys told me who to buy.
I hate when that's presented to me because it's like, you're probably right, and it's easier on the super rare level. Theoretically,
I'll tell you.
But
because you just have less variables. You just have less like. There's just less like if this team does this week, and less randomness because you, like I say, you can control. You can look at what everyone else has, and you can kind of go, oh, like, you know. But
yeah.
Are you guys down for a therapy session?
Do you need one?
always.
Yeah. I mean, I always need one, but you know, I don't want to keep that private. All right.
Hit us with it.
All right. I'm going to need therapy even saying it out loud because it might not come. So I have been I don't know what it is, because ETH rose, because ETH prices of cards, like, as somebody that always valued all of my cards in ETH, 0.1, that guy's worth 0.1, 0.12, 0.3. And now, like, I feel like to really get an idea of what a card's worth, you probably should be looking at everything in terms of fiat. Like, that's where the graphs get pretty stable. So I've always seen Sorare as a game to enjoy. And yes, earning money made it more enjoyable. I would not be involved if there wasn't like a money aspect. But now that we have this new competition to buy new cards is to make money, and to like no card win, but just to make money. I'm like at this impasse right now because now I have to pop up, and when I'm bidding on something, I have all my settings now in fiat. So it's like, oh, you max bid $1,000 for this JPEG. I'm like, oh. It's not about the money, but you're stuffing the money in my head. And what am I going to get with this? Oh, I'm going to get more money. And I think I'm just like really struggling with that, like in terms of like pulling the trigger on stuff, because I feel like for the longest time, the ETH and the money was great. The ETH was even greater because it didn't have dollar signs in front of it. So it wasn't like hit out in my head that like this is big money. I knew it was, but you kind of hid behind the ETH. And I think just all of this cash infusion thrown in my face, I think it actually is making me struggle to pull the trigger on new cards, on building. Like when Surf says you can go build a great challenger team around two pretty good players that I already have for a reasonable price to play it. And I'm like,
do you think it's because of the certainty of the value of the reward?
yeah, I think that's actually, I think that could be part, because before it was just this like surprise.
Well,
you did great.
Well, right.
Surprise, like, you got fucked.
None of us are doing, and I'm assuming most people are not being like Surf, you were like, you could build the best lineup for 1 ETH. And the idea is like, yeah, if I just win a few cards, then those could be worth more than an ETH. But when it comes to, okay, I have to finish in the top 5 of Division 1 3 times and the top 5 in Division 2 twice, and then I'll get my money back. And because there's like specific reward certainty, meaning we know how much we will win if we finish in certain spots, that we put this like added pressure, I guess, on acquiring the card.
I think pressure is a good word for this.
Yeah. But actually, and to, bring some added hopium to this mix, I suppose, is that like, actually, if you win your star award in Super Rare Contenders Classic, that actually, technically, that kind of you almost have to factor in like the in-season value potentially of that star award, in that potentially is your ticket to entering a very strong in-season lineup.
Oh, so you're telling me I need to spend more money now because I got a really good
maybe,
card.
but then like actually it's the value that you could extract from that reward in a way that
but when is the value? When is
slightly the value of your reward?
But is it like completely effed up though? That I feel like for 4.5 years on the platform, that's what was happening, but it was still just to win more JPEGs. I was like,
it did feel like there was no cap on what you could win, essentially. Like
right.
It felt like I could literally pay off my mortgage one day with a win here, that kind of thing. Like,
yeah, it's literally, honey, I won Ryan Cherky. He's going to be the best player ever. But so do either of you have that feeling at all? Did that like resonate with either one of you guys, like as I said it? Or did I not say it too well?
No, I totally get it. Yeah.
I just don't think I've looked at in season that strongly. Like, as I just don't, I don't play the game for that reason. Or I just have like a significantly longer return expectation than even one season, that I'm not buying cards with the idea of like, okay, now I need to win this amount of money to get back. The whole way I play the game was and is like, these are the lineup, these are the contests that I can enter. How do I get the best possible lineups in there so that I can win the best possible card, and then do whatever happens with that card? If it's an awesome card and I'm like, man, that card's really good, but now I don't have great cards around it, maybe I get some more cards. Like, it's just, I continue to view this game, and I realize I'm in a fairly unique position here, regardless of the fact that I work for Sorare Data and that Sorare's existence is a big part of Sorare Data existing. But I continue to look at the game from a longevity standpoint. I want to just keep playing, and I don't want to keep playing by just depositing every day. But I want to be good enough in this game where I can just keep playing over and over and over again, and winning cards that will help me win more, and then turning old cards into new ones. And the cash rewards almost, they don't ruin the fun. Winning cash is awesome because then you can go buy what you want to buy.
Right.
But it almost, like, when winning the podium, like winning podium cash, or even like high up all-star cash, previous stuff, thresholds, it felt like you won game money. Like, they may as well have been credits.
Yes.
And when you are entering and you're like, if you finish 5th, you win $500. Now it's like, do I use that in the game now? What do I do with this money? Like, I don't know. It's the exact same, and yet I feel it's completely different.
It felt like Monopoly money in a way. Like you'd win and you'd be like, it's hard to describe, but like I'd make, in my real life, I'd make decisions like, do I really want to spend £150 on a vacuum cleaner and things like that? But at the same time, I'd be there going, yeah, I'll chuck £1,000 at a super rare goalkeeper. It doesn't, this is, it doesn't feel real in a way.
So,
Like, I was thinking then, like, do you think you guys would feel kind of differently about like this feeling of that there's a cap on what you can win if So Rare were like, we're going to reward X percentage of our income each game week, and that the rewards weren't necessarily as set?
static.
Because when you just see them like that, it's like, oh, that's the top that I'll ever achieve. I don't know.
Yeah, I prefer to be, I was going to say lied to, but it's not lied, but I prefer to be in the dark of the like, I don't know how much an Mbappe rare goes for. Like, I could guess, I'm sure I'd be way off, but I almost like that if I win something and they're like, you want an Mbappe rare, and I'm like, I don't even know how much that's worth, but it sounds awesome. And like, I'm cool with enough with that.
So that was so
what
good.
if Sorare would reward a vacuum cleaner for the podium?
I think there would be pitchforks.
Mel said that once in MDJ. I don't know if it was on a podcast or somewhere. And she was like, she was trying to buy a PS5 and it was like $500. And she's like, that's outrageous. And somebody's like, and she was like, but if they had said like, oh yeah, it's like 0.09, she'd be like, yeah, let's do it.
Well, that's why this whole shift in the ETH is so difficult. So I want to share this because you guys, I think, will get a good laugh out of this. Laird knows most of this, but so like this conversation literally happened last night with my wife, and my son got into like a very, very prestigious private school that we had no idea he was going to get into. So there's been a lot of conversations in the household, like afford it, things like that. and like we're going through all the assets and things like that. And my wife, all of a sudden, she like has this like light bulb moment. She goes and looks, and she's like, "How much money are your Sorare cards worth?" And I was like, "Get off of my Sorare cards. They have no intrinsic value here."
The answer
And
is
she's
zero.
like, doesn't the site, like literally this is my wife, like she's putting it all together. She's like, it doesn't the site that you do all those podcasts for, don't they like value those things? And I'm like, don't you dare. because literally when you're having a conversation about like a really big chunk of money for like real life important stuff like my children's education, and then you've got to cross the lines over to and literally I'm building a new season cards this morning, and I'm like, literally, I don't know why it came up, but I was like deciding whether to keep pumping up on a Lorenzo Insigne super rare, and it was like $1,300. I'm like, I just can't. This is absolutely insane that I've like Lorenzo Insigne, who I don't know if he stopped smoking on the sidelines or not. Like I remember that being a problem. Wasn't that the problem last year, Laird, that he and Bernadeschi were like the smokers corner during practice or something?
I'm pretty sure Bernadeschi vapes. Yeah.
Vapes. Is that better? Anyhow, but like that's like where it's a weird thing for me, and like so it's just like it's hard now that we're into this cash world, because now like Surf used the vacuum cleaner, I'm using school, like they're making us think in our currency again, not in this little 0.09. It's hard.
I think that was the biggest negative, and it should be a positive, but I think that was the biggest negative in basically bringing fiat to the platform, that it made these things much realer and from a cost perspective for a lot of people.
And hold on, did you make a deposit today, Laird?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, was that somebody else's screenshot you shared?
No. That was my screenshot.
Okay. You didn't hit confirm?
Heavens no. I'm not here. That's not the game I play.
No. Thursdays is still. What did you and Andy call it yesterday or last week? The Munchers Corner. What? The
what?
You guys were joking about like you're the two guys that just don't deposit and are just gonna live off the platform.
We're leeches.
Leeches. Yeah, the Leeches Corner over there. You were just testing what the credit card fee would be.
So Simo said it shouldn't be a problem for you with your Jameson whiskey fortune. The only reason I did it is because when they introduced PayPal as a deposit method here in the States, I was trying to see how much the fees were, and I thought they were like 4%. And so today I was like, oh, you can deposit with a credit card now. What are those fees? And they were 1%. And I was like, man, that's not bad. And then, but no, I didn't deposit.
By the way, some of these comments about the education and NFTs is fantastic. my kid's education while I degen into a super rapid stack is fantastic.
Yeah,
and then the good place. If you aren't teaching your son how to win on Sorare, are you really providing a good education? Probably not.
But maybe you're just better off extracting the value from those cards over time and pay off the fees,
Surf,
over a period of time.
Maybe it's a good time for him to learn time value of money.
Exactly.
That's what it is. That's right.
And a different way to make money than the traditional economy things, with NFTs.
You'll learn a lot about losing money too, which is...
Hold on. Wait. We have to sell a card to lose.
What are we? Not financial advice, by the way. What are we doing? I think we have to stop because I don't know where we're going next, but it's not going to be good for anybody. So yeah, I actually do have to go. So I am going to stop this. So thank you to everybody for coming, especially everybody with their suggestions for the Jameson Education family budget here. Very much appreciated. Surf, Keith, thanks for coming on. If everybody could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, I hope you guys got something out of this. To be honest, very selfishly, I like talking to both of these guys. So even if we had nothing to get out of it, I just had a good time. So hope everyone else did. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you around.